Boom. That right there is what sweet revenge looks like. The Alabama Crimson Tide going to Norman, Oklahoma, and avenge that loss in mid-November. Look, y'all, I was there. I was there in Tuscaloosa when that loss happens. I watched Oklahoma players spit on the Alabama logo, and that shit was personal. And Alabama got their revenge tonight. Oklahoma had beaten Alabama in two straight meetings. And so there was a lot riding on the Tides to get this done. And when this thing first started off, it almost felt like 2.0 of the matchup that we saw in Tuscaloosa. Alabama was falling into Oklahoma's trap, as I say. They were playing into Oklahoma's game plan. Oklahoma was methodically driving on the field. Alabama was playing soft on defense, not very physical at all. Oklahoma was just more physical, seemed like they wanted. They're just playing with more passion overall, I would say. And they were starting with great field position on every drive. You were seeing that. I feel like Oklahoma was starting on like the average of their own 45, and which made it easy to set up those drives. Alabama was going 3 and outs. Oklahoma was giving them very confusing looks on defense, and they did all game. I mean, Brett Venables, that defensive staff, they were drawing up some serious shit all game. So I tip my cap to them because that was incredible. But the inflection point, the turning point of this game, Oklahoma was up 17-0 at one point. And the real inflection points of this game was the block punts. I mean, Alabama had a nice 75-yard drive. They're down 17-0, and that kind of gave some momentum back to Alabama. I mean, Ty Simpson completed a great pass to, I want to say it was Isaiah Horton. I'm jogging my memory a little bit, but that kind of sparked that Alabama offense a little bit. They're able to drive down the field, get a touchdown, but it's still, I'm sitting there, and as an Alabama fan in the second quarter, transparently, I'm still just like, wow, how do we show up to this thing just completely unprepared and have no energy, no vigor, no willpower? I mean, I was embarrassed because if there's any game out there for an Alabama fan or player that's going to motivate the shit out of you, it's this game. It's the opportunity to go up here and get revenge on a team that beat you in your stadium and disrespected you on your fields. And this is a playoff game. It's a rematch. Winner goes to the Rose Bowl. The stakes don't get higher. Like, why the fuck aren't you locked in? Well, Alabama flipped the switch in the second quarter, and they blocked that punt. They only got 3 out of it, but it was the act of blocking that punt that put wind back in the sails for the Tide. And then, of course, Xavier Brown, another pick six. It was shades of Tennessee all over again. And the Tide, from there on out, they never looked back. 27 unanswered points. One of the best runs that we've seen this season out of Alabama. One thing you were seeing a lot in the first half, too, I mean, Alabama's getting no pressure on Oklahoma's offense at all. So John Mateers is sitting back there, the clean pocket. He's nice and comfortable. They're running the ball at will with Torrey Blaylock. I mean, Deion Burks, Tanya, they're getting theirs. And then second quarter, Ty Simpson sees the backs that go through the hoop once. Get that block punch. So in good field position again. And the game plan just starts to flow effortlessly. Ty Simpson looked a lot more comfortable, a lot more assured in himself late first half and going into the second half as well. And when you trust yourself, you're just more efficient. He was given more time in the pockets to navigate. So Daniel Hill pop off a 30-yard run. I never thought I'd see that this year. But also shout out to Latsier Brooks. He had a great game, 79 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's been nothing short of spectacular for the Tide this year. And, of course, my man Isaiah Horton balled out. I mean, one of the best catches I've seen this year, Jeremy Bernard. It was like shades of David Tyree. And I hate mentioning that because I'm a Patriots fan. But that catch in the fourth quarter was like shades of David Tyree, and he pretty much just summed that guy, mossed that guy in Oklahoma. It was so incredibly impressive. So, as a Bama fan, I'm really proud of this team by the way that they gritted this out. I mean, how in the face of adversity, how do you respond? You're down 17-0. The wind is completely taken out of your sails. Yes, we've seen this out of Alabama a lot this year. We saw it with the Vanderbilt game too. Diego Pavia threw a red zone interception. I felt like that game was getting out of control. And sometimes you've got to either create an opportunity or let an opportunity happen and take advantage of it. And that's what Alabama did tonight. I mean, it's one thing, and I continue to learn this as a football fan myself. Success isn't linear, and there'll be times as a fan when I watch these games and I get very amped up. I get very worked up. We're down 17-0 in the second quarter. There's no passion. We're not doing anything with the ball. Just 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and Ty Simpson just letting the play clock drop right down to 1 and 0, delay game. I'm beside myself. Success isn't linear. All it takes, Alabama just needed a spark. What I think happened too, partially in this game to start the beginning, was that Georgia loss carried into this Oklahoma game for Alabama, and that happens a lot in sports. When you have a performance that bad, it is going to carry over. It is going to translate over into the next week. Just because you've got to shake out of that funk. That 75-yard drive helped Alabama get out of it, but it was also the breaks that the Tide were able to get in the second quarter with the block punt, with the interception, just put wind back in the sails of this team. You have that Georgia game happen, and then you have everybody telling you shouldn't belong in the playoffs and you suck and this and that. You get a couple things go your way, and it's like, all right, you see the ball go through the hoop. That's confidence. You just have to see the ball go through the hoop. And that's what happens with Alabama tonight. And I'm going to say this about Oklahoma. I love teams like Oklahoma because they're physical, they're edgy, they've got this aura about them. Like, they just play old school football. And I'm an old school guy, so I appreciate that. I appreciate what Oklahoma brings to the table. But ever since John Mateer got that hand injury back after the Auburn game in September, he has not been the same. And it is because he was rushed back for the Texas game. They wanted him back for the Red River rivalry. They rushed him back. Oklahoma would have been better letting him rest that hand up a few weeks and then be ready for now, because I think this excuse me, I think this is a solid football team. Oklahoma's got some weaknesses. Like, they never really established their presence running the ball this year, which surprises me. I thought that Jaden Ott and Torrey Blake would be a 1-2, maybe not quite Sonic and Knuckles, but the college version of it, the Norman, Oklahoma version of it. But that just never really took off. It was kind of like Miami. That the run game just never really took off this year, and I can't really understand it. But I like Deion Burks a lot. I like Satania a lot. I think they've got 2 first-round draft picks on that defensive line, and Stone and Mason Thomas, excuse me. I mean, those guys are absolute dogs. Like, there's, especially the defensive side of the ball, Oklahoma is a fantastic team. But I could tell, and this is why I picked Alabama, I could tell in the games following the Alabama win in Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma could never establish rhythm on offense. They never looked comfortable on offense at all. It was anemic against Mizzou and also against LSU, and LSU is a team that pretty much just mailed it in. They're just waiting for Lane Kiffin. And you're at home and you're just struggling to move the ball downfield all night against them. That was just mind-blowing to me. And so I picture them coming into this thing, and I'm like, Alabama maybe a little sluggish to start this thing, but I think that they're going to figure this out, because if they can put Oklahoma's offense in a box and get a lead by multiple possessions, you win this game. And that's exactly what Alabama did. In the second half, they're able to really limit John Mateer, put him in a box. And what was interesting about this game too is that the teams became inverses in the second half. Oklahoma was an inverse of itself in the second half. Alabama was an inverse of itself in the second half. Alabama looked like Oklahoma did in the first quarter. Oklahoma looked like Alabama did in the first quarter in the second half. It was quite a fascinating thing to watch. Oklahoma looked very rushed and flustered and confused on the offensive side of the ball, and Alabama looked very assured. Alabama was playing physical on the defensive side of the ball. Oklahoma was starting to look a little bit more porous. Again, 27 unanswered points for the Tide tonight. They hung 34 on what I think is one of the best defenses in all of college football. Another thing that I want to shout here, I want to start to get into these team stats a little bit. Turnovers. I said that was going to be huge in this game, right? So, Bryant-Denny Stadium, November 15th. Bama, 3 turnovers. Gave Oklahoma great field position all day. Costly mental errors. I said if Alabama wins the turnover battle tonight, they win this game. Well, what happened? 0 turnovers for the Tide. 1 pick 6 for Oklahoma. Just like Oklahoma had in Alabama and Bryant-Denny. Tonight was true poetic justice for the Tide. It's the fan coming on me a little bit. It's true poetic justice for everything that happens back in November. And it was a beautiful thing. Alabama also won the penalty battle, 4 penalties to 5. Alabama was not great on third down tonight, 2 for 12. That's if you want to beat Indiana, your third down efficiency has got to be a lot better. Your efficiency overall has got to be a lot better. Oklahoma's was 7 for 18 tonight. Both teams were 1 for 1 on fourth down. And so Alabama has a game here on New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl, against the Indiana Hoosiers. And I'm going to be honest, I thought about it a little bit, and I really like Alabama in this game. I think that they match up well with Indiana. And we're going to break this down here more in a few weeks, but just looking at it from a glance, Alabama's got that chip on their shoulder because everybody is telling them how much they suck and how they shouldn't belong in the playoffs. And Notre Dame should be in over them. Conversely, everybody's been telling Indiana how great they are. They're enchanted by the story. Fernando Mendoza, Heisman. He deserved it. Love that guy. I love the whole Indiana story. I made a video on them a few weeks ago. Fans been great. The video popped off. I appreciate that. But I just think that mental matchup between Alabama and Indiana, I think the Tide are going to really have an edge there. And like I said at the end of the broadcast tonight, if you can have a win like this where you come together as a team, you're facing adversity, you're down by 17, you experience adversity like this, and then you're able to find a way to bounce back like that. That just brings you closer together as a team, and that momentum can carry on into the next game. And Indiana's got a long time between that Big Ten championship and the Rose Bowl, and it kind of felt like they won the Super Bowl that day. And so you're just going to have time to sit and feel good about yourself. Alabama played a game. They've got the momentum going. Alabama can make an Ohio State type run last year if they make something out of this. They can make an Ohio State type run this year because it's all about just building those wins. Ohio State ended the year last year with an embarrassing loss to Michigan. They beat the brakes off of Tennessee at home, and the momentum just carried over. Alabama has the opportunity to stay. I don't insinuating that this team is the same as Ohio State was last year, but it's damn talented. And that's why I get frustrated sometimes. This is a team full of blue chippers, 4 stars and 5 stars. You should be playing out of your minds. What happened in the first quarter, early second quarter is inexcusable for Alabama. But I really feel like they turned the page on this and found a new version of themselves, especially late second quarter, early third quarter. And as the game went on, I mean, they made crucial stops. Alabama's biggest thing this year has been beating themselves. And they were doing that in the first quarter. It was incredibly frustrating to watch. But, man, they executed well as that game went on. Ty Simpson started believing in what he was seeing a lot more. And they weren't letting Oklahoma drive as effortlessly. There were clear defensive adjustments made in the second half. So, caps off to Kane Womack. I was very frustrated with the defensive staff in the beginning of this game, but clear adjustments were made, and it was not as easy for Oklahoma to drive the ball down the field. So I like the trajectory that Alabama is on right now. And if you're Alabama fans, if you're part of the organization, it's like a weight taken off your shoulders. Because if Alabama lost this game, you've got that whole Michigan thing hanging over your shoulder with Kalen DeBoer. Like, you don't really know how that was going to go. I think Alabama would have kept Kalen DeBoer regardless, but that just would have been a whole topic in the media in Birmingham, Mobile, Huntsville this week. Now you kind of put that to bed. And if Kalen DeBoer can go take this Alabama team and beat Indiana, the conversation then completely shifts to this being a remarkable story. So it'll be interesting to see where this Tide team goes from here. As far as Oklahoma, great season, 10-3. Like I said, as an Alabama fan, I have nothing but respect for this Oklahoma team and the fan base. Most Oklahoma fans I know are great, and I respect the way that their players play. I mean, Venables always has them boys ready to go. He terrorized Alabama when he was at Clemson, and he continues to these days as well. I like the trajectory that this team is on. And if I'm a recruit, I look at how they're developing guys, and I'm like, I want to be a part of this, especially if I'm a defensive player. I'm like, I would run through a wall for this guy. The way defense played this year was incredible. I like the way that he's changed the identity of Oklahoma over from being finesse to more physical, punchy in the mouth. It'll be interesting to see if I honestly, I think that John Mateer stays with the way that the second half of the season went. He was never the same guy after that hand injury, and it showed down the stretch. He can rehab that thing in the offseason. I think it looks – Oklahoma gets some guys to come back. I think that this team looks really promising next year, and I have nothing but great things to say about Oklahoma and nothing but respect for them. This season is nothing to hang your head about. 10-3 for this team is fantastic, and there's bright things to come in the future. Just got to establish that run game a little more next year. But I like the pace they're on. I like the trajectory that this Oklahoma team is on. But yeah, this was a thrill of a game. This was a fun game to watch. I mean, that one call I want to reference here in the second quarter for interference with the official on the sideline for Alabama. I mean, I can't hold back. That was fucking wild. Like I couldn't believe they even came up with that shit. This ref crew definitely missed a couple big calls tonight and called out some ones that shouldn't be, but that's typical. No, when Luke and I previewed this game a few days ago, we said this was going to be a tough game for either one of these two teams, and it was a battle of will. It was a battle of attrition. There was nothing linear about this game, but this is a game right here that shows why football is a beautiful thing. We saw that whole Seahawks game the night before, or pretty much a night and a half now, because it's 12:21 here on the East Coast. No, you had the Rams up 30-14 at one point. Seattle storms back. Oklahoma up 17-0. Alabama storms back. So these games really are just never over until they're over, and that's what makes it so fun to watch. Very, very roller coaster up and down game. I had a lot of fun watching it. I don't know about y'all, but watching Alabama storm back, that comeback was incredible. And those are especially coming from that Georgia game where nothing was going your way. The first quarter, nothing was going your way, and then the rest of the game, you kind of figure out and start to navigate it. This could be a sign of some really positive momentum for the Tide. One thing out for Alabama against Indiana, that offensive line is. I don't know what it is this year. It's just not coming together, not creating those gaps for running backs, and not really allowing Ty Simpson to run play action effectively. So you can see that a little bit more in the Indiana game. I think this is a team that can get better each and every single week. So it's all, like Tom Brady says, it's all about getting 1% better every day. And at the end of the day, if you can do that, you can reach incredible heights. And I believe this Alabama team can. So phenomenal win for Alabama. They get their revenge for everything that happens back in November. Oklahoma cannot say that they own the Tide just yet. I do kind of credit my hype video today for the win. Just saying. For Oklahoma, man, great effort. I'm sure them boys at Bama are going to be sore, by the way, that Oklahoma hit them tonight. So caps off for that. But very fun game to watch. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comment section below. You'll notice I'm here in Brunswick, New York for Christmas, for the holidays. We're here for Christmas and New Year's. This is what I'll be doing all my reactions for the first 2 rounds of the CFP. Then I'll be back in Fort Worth. But I'm in Brunswick, New York. I'm out on my back porch here. It is fucking freezing. It's like 18 degrees out here. My feet are like icicles. You probably hear the wind behind me. But you know what? I do it for the grind because I love this shit. And I love y'all. And thank you for watching this. And I can't wait to break down more of these games as they unfold. Happy CFP. Have a great night.